Good evening, greetings and salutations, my friends. Greetings from Thunder Mesa Studio. Dave here with Jim
Howdy.
by my side, offering technical and emotional and ecumenical support. Wait, I'm following the drama here in the comments. They caught him just in time so you can watch Dave's video. They had a shelter in place because someone escaped from the jail across the street. Wow. Evening, Robert. How are things in Australia?
Do you mow the lawn in the other direction?
They mow the lawn counterclockwise in Australia. Is that right? Well, I've got the camera oriented here so you can see the part of the layout that's still standing. Because, yeah, as you know, I've probably been doing some. I've been doing some demolition here. See a little corner of the Santa Fe and St. Nick. Let me put this down. I don't want to be holding this the whole time.
You need a coffee table.
I do. No, I don't need any more furniture in here. Got plenty of furniture. Oh, let's see. I thought the grass just grows roots down. That's good too. I like that. It's on the other side of the world, so, right, the roots would be sticking out.
Exactly.
Here we go. Hi, Sean. Nice to see you. Where's my Shay? I kid. Take your time. Do it right.
We have another.
Did you
Arizona
get the there, I was just thinking about Bob. I need a beer fridge in here. Bob, before you visit again, are you planning to come out maybe sometime February, March, like you did last year? There will be a beer fridge before the next time you visit. He'll give it to you in Costa Mesa. Good, awesome. All right, you are going to come out? Cool. Sorry, everybody, we're just having a little private conversation here.
public private conversation.
Shay's rule. I agree. And don't you think it's high time that Thunder Mesa had a Shay?
Yes.
Thunder Mesa needs a Shay. Yeah. That will be locomotive number 14. It's going to be a Shay. That's the plan. And it's going to be named, I don't know yet. But I've gotten lots of good suggestions from people. I might name it after Mary Blair. The M.R. Blair. That's a good name. Though the Shay really doesn't suit her personality. I'm not going to paint it all pastel colors either. Hi, George, over on Patreon. How you doing? If you want to participate in the live chat and you're watching on Patreon, just come on over, just hit the video, and it'll say watch on YouTube, and hit that, and then you'll come over here, and then I can see everybody's comments. Lindley, you're having dinner with Dave. I'm glad you're enjoying it, having a great time here. Name it what?
Name it Joe B.
Name it Eileen, since they're kind of lopsided. Yeah, Sidewinder. I mean, that's. I have a Rattler. Maybe a Sidewinder to go with it. Eileen, that's good. I like that. Jim, are you talking about the Shay, stock or custom? Custom. Sean Williams, who is the Shay maestro, is. Am I making it out for Costa Mesa? No, I'm not going to be there. I grew up in Costa Mesa, and I'm still wanted by the local police there.
True story.
Greg Gilbert, sorry I'm late. I was watching the closing of Grizzly Hall at Walt Disney World. You have a free pass if you're at Disney World. You can do whatever you want. Hi, Jeff in Michigan. Eileen, that is hilarious. That is great. Let me see. Because somebody mentioned, a couple of people brought this up when I did my video on the locomotive rosters, is that I didn't have any locomotives named after female Disney Imagineers, and that's true. That is an oversight. You know, there's Alice Davis, the wife of Mark Davis. There's Mary Blair, of course. I'm talking first gen. There weren't that many, unfortunately. First generation women Disney Imagineers. Harriet Burns would be a good one. It would have to be a really nicely dressed locomotive. And since I'm going to paint it like the Dixiana from Roaring Camp, that might be good. So, yeah. One of those. One of those. Hello from Kingburg, California. Hi, Mike. How are you? Leota. That's the other one I was trying to think of. The Leota tombs. I have a little tribute to Leota on the layout. The Undertaker shop. There's the Madame Leota's palm reading parlor. Psychic. Regions Beyond. Whatever it says. I don't remember. Look, new hat. New hat, same mouse. So the topic, the Walter Elias. Yeah, that's yeah. The Roy O. There's that's another one. That's a good one. There's yeah. I'm gonna have a Rolly Crump. Number 12 is gonna be Rolly Crump, I think, because we recently lost Rolly, and he was a great artist, great influence on me. Paul Olm says, howdy from Aurora, Missouri. Central Valley is representing. Welcome. It's nice to see you guys all here tonight. Nice to see the usual suspects and new people too. It's my understanding that 13 is being vacated. That's your favorite number? Is that your lucky number, Sean? I have a 13. It's the rail truck, the galumphing goat, but that's probably going away. So 13 might be available. Just I'm kind of superstitious. I don't know. Should I have a 13? A lot of railroads, they didn't have a number 13 because for that reason. It's the same reason they didn't put 13th floors in skyscrapers. Jimmy Superfly, hi from New Zealand. Was wondering what made you decide to change your railway. You have 6 shays. Wow. What made me decide? I did a video on that. There's always a video on it. I did a couple. If you go back, there's a playlist on my main page on YouTube, Thunder Mesa 2.0. If you watch the first video in that series where I introduced the plan and everything, I give all my reasons for doing it. And it's basically, to make it, there's a lot of reasons. To fix some old stuff. What?
He was bored.
I was bored. To fix some old stuff that needed fixing. To widen some aisles that needed widening. And to make the layout more portable. Make it movable. I rent my space here. So I might need to move it one of these days. I might need to relocate the Thunder Mesa Studio, the whole shebang, to another location. And even though the layout, as you're seeing, if you've watched me break it down, it is movable, but I wouldn't call it portable, and I would like it to be more portable, in air quotes, than that. Grant says, good evening, Dave and Jim. Hey, Grant, I'm so glad you made it. Nice to see you.
Kevin made it.
Yeah, Kevin made it. Good.
Do you have a Ward Kimball locomotive?
Number 5
Yeah.
is on the workbench. Yeah, there will be a Ward Kimball. It's actually going to be a 240, similar to the Ernest Marsh at Disneyland, ironically, and not the Ward Kimball at Disneyland because I can't run Forneys on the layout. I can run them, but I can't put any cars behind them because the butt, the tender swings out so far it would derail any cars behind them. Do I have a Harper Goff? Yes, one of my ON18 locomotives is the Harper Goff. Let's see. Hello from Portland, Oregon, says the liners of our time. I was wondering if you know why Bachmann decided to discontinue ON30. Also, have you ever dabbled in Lionel trains? Bachmann's not discontinuing ON30. They've just scaled way back from ON30. There was one person at the company who spearheaded the whole ON30 thing and kind of kickstarted the whole ready to run phenomenon in ON30, because before that there was 0 ready to run in ON30, and sadly he passed away. So I can't remember his name and I feel terrible, but so there's no one there to really kind of spearhead new products and stuff like that. But they're still producing the World War I trench locomotive. They're still producing the venerable CNS Mogul, the 260. They're still making that. They're still making sets, cars, their passenger cars. They just recently released a crane, a new caboose. Is there another locomotive? The 2662? Yeah. They're still making that, as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure someone will. So yeah, they haven't gotten completely out of the market. Just unfortunately, they've stopped making two of the most popular locomotives, which is well, three if you count both. They're not making the 2662 anymore. Thanks, Sean. They're not making either one of the Porters, the 042 or the 040. They were in production for a long time, and they're not making either one of the 440s anymore, which is too bad. And as a result, the resale price is going up and up. And that's one of the, that kind of leads us into tonight's topic, which is choosing a scale. And I'm sure everyone has interesting opinions on that. But the problem with ON30 is that it's getting harder and harder to source equipment. Someone emailed me today asking where to find, ready to run ON30 track. You can't get it from Microengineering. It's become really hard to find from Pico. My favorite source, Hatton's Model Railway in the UK. Great company, been around for decades. Didn't charge an arm and a leg for shipping. Reasonable prices, nice people to deal with. Everything always arrived in pristine condition from all the way over in the UK. They're closing up shop. I just got an email last month that they're having a going out of business sale. Everything must go. So get over to Hatton's UK on the interwebs and order what you want from there, because I ordered some HON30 stuff from them, Pico, that you can't get here in the States at all. Yeah, so they're going away. So it's kind of just down to the resale market now. And you can still find the stuff on eBay, but of course the price keeps going up. I mean, it's not $600 for a Porter. They used to be $60 when they first came out. They were like 50, 60 bucks, 40, 50, 60 bucks. Now, $600. I mean, that's with DCC and sound and stuff, but geez, that's a lot. Mike Heath says, seriously thinking about HON30. I have a lot of N-scale stuff to bash. Yeah, me too. I love HON30. And, I've got a couple of plans that I might resurrect for HON30. And I've got a couple of nice running little HON30 locomotives that I got from Hatton's that I would like to play around with.
You like to bash N-scale, especially when
I like to bash N-scale. Sometimes it bashes back, though. Sean says he wants to make an ON18 Shay out of an HON30 Shay. That would be cool. I have an eBay alert for, remember the old Atlas N-scale Shays? They were out for a couple of years. I had two of them at one point, and I sold them both. And man, I wish I had them back, because now I would love to bash one of them into an ON18 Shay. They ran beautifully. They were great little Lokies. Let's see. George Wayne says a 2x3 mini layout Pico HOE track. Do HO narrow gauge or ON18. That's up to you. How much do you want to? I mean, if you like structures and highly detailed scenes, ON18. ON18 is where I'm needed to go next. ON18 is even more of a scratch building scale than ON30. There's nothing ready to run in ON18. Everything is either scratch built or bashed, or you find stuff on Etsy and eBay, 3D printed, all that kind of stuff. Mike McCauley, you're with the family for Christmas in Reedley, California. Find out about the Hillcrest and Watoki Steam Railroad there. It has a steam and also does the rebuilds for Disneyland and others. Yeah, the Hillcrest shops. Yes, well known. No, that was great. It was very well thought out, Sean. Don't apologize. I read all the comments. I don't always have the ability or the time or My latest excuse is bandwidth. I like to say I don't have the bandwidth, which kind of covers all of that. You know, I just
Yes.
don't have the brain power. I don't have the time. I just don't have the energy or whatever to answer them all. But I read them all, and I think I didn't answer yours. It was a great comment. McGow Jobs, my fantasy layout is somewhere between 1/35th and 1/1 scale. I started building one ore hoppers using walnut shells. That's awesome. You're gonna like the next video I've got coming. Workbench Wednesday. The topic is this is gonna come out next Wednesday. Realism versus believability, and what the difference is between the two, and why I think that believability is actually what we should usually be after when modeling, rather than realism. So check that out.
That's because I'm really nice and you're believably nice. That's why
I'm
you-
believable. Yeah, that's right. He's actually nice. Drew asks, how do I determine the scenery height for my buttes, etc.? You know, I've got a video coming out on that too. That's actually coming out tomorrow for everybody. Be published publicly tomorrow, and that is about making a planning model. I built a 1/12 scale planning model for the new version of the Thunder Mesa layout because I wanted to be able to visualize exactly that kind of thing. How tall should the scenery be? How deep should the canyons be? I have a general idea, but I wanted to see how it would look. So with a 1/12 model, I can just get down there and look and pretend I'm 6 inches tall and see back into the canyon and stuff like that. But I'll tell you, my original determination for how I came up with the height of Baxter's Butte here is that it's the same height at scale as Big Thunder Mountain at Disneyland. It's 100 feet high. So it was just a wild ass guess. Yeah, I came out, it was 100 feet high because, and it turned out, you know, to look okay. Usually it's just by eye, you know. Let's see. Lakota Tharuf, have you considered doing a modular layout for Thunder Mesa 2.0 so you could have modules of things like your Haunted Mansion server, whatever project you had in mind? I did think about that, like at a wall around the walls modular thing. Yeah, I did consider that, but the biggest consideration in reimagining the layout was I wanted to keep this main section that's right behind us here, the original section. I'm nostalgic and what's the word I'm looking for? You don't know. Anyway, I wanted to keep the original 3x6 foot section intact and build off of that. You know, knowing what I know now, so that kind of ruled out a more modular kind of layout. How I say your name differently every time? How do you pronounce it? I'm terrible at. I am not good with names. Some people, that's a talent. Some people have. Usually, most of them are salesmen. That's not a talent I have. Anyway, let's see. Oh, comments are coming fast. Modular versus sectional. Yeah, it's sectional, but not modular, right? Greg Gilbert, odd question. Have you considered adding animation to some of the scenes, like paddle wheel turning on your beautiful... You know, you could, but the problem is it's a waterline model. I'd have to go back and rebuild the bottom part of the wheel, because since it's a waterline model, it's just, there's no paddles on that bottom part. So yeah, that would be interesting. Sentimental, thank you. This is why I like this community. I like it. Someone's going to think, you know, when I run out of bandwidth and my brain no longer works, they're going to come up with the word I was looking for. Yes, I'm sentimental that way. I want to keep the original layout, you know, that I've been working on for 12 years. Cut the water out. Yes, you could do that.
Weren't you talking about other animation too?
I did. Yeah, I've got the balancing rocks, and there will finally be balancing rocks on the Thunder Mesa layout. I kind of did the ones on the Bandit Canyon. I don't know if you saw that video. I did on that. That was kind of a proof of concept. was figuring it out. It's like, okay, this is going to work. So I'll use pretty much the same technique to do the balancing rocks on and that's a sentimental thing too. That goes back to Nature's Wonderland at Disneyland back in the 60s and 70s. It's like, I want the balancing rocks. And I saw Sam Towler did it on his Nature's Wonderland. It's like, I have to do that. Let's see. If you had a larger space, would you make larger radii? No. If I had a larger space, I would not make a larger layout. I like I like small layouts. I just did a video on this too, in praise of mini layouts, small layouts, micro layouts, which obviously some people have different definitions for. But no, I wouldn't fill a space that big with trains. I might build multiple small layouts, like Gary Beatty has in his garage. But I wouldn't make the layout bigger. I like the size that it is. These are short line, narrow gauge railroads, and even though they're greatly selectively compressed, the whole idea behind it is it's like a ride. It goes from scene to scene to scene to scene with all the boring parts cut out that you would see in a real railroad. You know, the long, empty stretches of nothing. Those are all cut out. So it goes from scene to scene to scene with something interesting to look at all the way around. It would just be filler if I, made it bigger. I'm sticking to the 15-inch radius. Yes, I am. After much consideration, it's kind of a Porter layout. It's for small locomotives. If I were to build another ON30 layout of similar size on a different theme, I would definitely go to a larger radius, at least 18 inches, if not bigger. And I'm thinking specifically of a Pacific Coast themed narrow gauge railroad that I've had in mind, the back of my brain for a long time. And that one probably would be modular. And I would do broader radius curves on that because I'd want to run, bigger equipment. Killing you with the 15-inch radius. Sorry, Sean. I see. And you needed a challenge, though. Yes, small locomotives have a charm, and if I may say so, they are Disney-esque.
So here's a question for you.
What?
The standard or suggested dimensions for tunnel entries in ON30, it's still O scale, right? So you would still use an O scale?
No, I have a template somewhere. Here's the thing. I can't remember the dimensions off the top of my head, but I created a template. It's larger than HO scale, but smaller than full scale L scale.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's a timber portal, obviously the timber is all the same dimensions and everything like that, but the opening itself is smaller. That's something I want to throw up on my website, is a downloadable template for tunnel portals. Would that be useful? I think a lot of people would like that. Yeah, about four and a quarter exactly tall for the tunnel. A tunnel portal template, both for ON30 and for ON18, because I've got both of them here somewhere over there with the track stuff. So yeah, that's a good question, Sean. You are correct. It's about 4 1/4 tall for the tunnel dimensions, and about. Hang on, I can answer this question. Here it is. Over there, and actually over here. Hanging on this shelf.
Oh yeah.
These are my tunnel portal templates. This one is conveniently labeled ON30, and the height is 4 1/4 by 3 1/8 wide. You got to be a little careful though if you're going to be placing this on a curve. You got to be careful with the placement, or you might want to make it wider than 3 1/4 because longer equipment might bash one side going through that tunnel. This is an ON18 tunnel portal, and it is 3 inches high by 2.5 inches wide at the bottom, but it does taper up slightly towards the top here. At the top, it's 2 1/8. So yeah, I'll draw these up in Illustrator and have the PDFs up on the website. It'll be a free download. You guys can go in there and get them. So choosing scales. Back to the topic at hand. Keep rolling backwards. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Things with big butts that hang out, like the Forneys and the Galloping Goose, might whack that tunnel portal on the way out. Just on the curves, not on the straight sections. Yeah, so what criteria do you use to choose a scale? Say you're just getting started. Say, you know, you're just getting started in the hobby, and you want to build your dream layout, whatever that is. What is your criteria? What scale do you choose? Greg Gilbert says N scale. Chuck Rogers says he's a little late to the party. It's all right, better late than never. The party doesn't start until you get here, Chuck. The clearance diagram for full size needs to be enlarged for the curves. Yeah, I said that. It needs to be wider on the curves. Howard Carson, and for me too, N scale. Scott Robertson, and eyesight and fat fingers. Scott, is that why you switched to FN3 from ON30? By the way, you're doing brilliant stuff. I love what you're doing. Keaton Markison, I hope I'm not murdering her name. HO scale. DLT Berkshire, what do you think about adding something for Thunder Mesa 2.0? Are you open to suggestions? I'm always open to suggestions. Doesn't mean I'll take them, but you can suggest anything. Somewhere between N scale and 7/8. Now, you were telling me earlier that you modeled in what?
I've modeled an N scale.
N scale.
HO scale.
Right.
ON18.
Right.
Garden scale, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
G or F.
G or F or
and
whatever.
Then
right.
the live steam, which is 1.5 inches to the foot.
Right.
So 1A scale.
Yeah.
So those are the different. I
Right.
couldn't decide which scale I wanted
You couldn't
to play
decide.
in, so I played in them all.
See, that's great. I would love to do something in FN3. In fact, my Pacific Coast, I just would need a warehouse to build it in, or do it, or do like Dale Angle is doing and Karen are doing with the indoor outdoor. They've got an FN3 layout which goes indoors and outdoors. They've got a big canyon section on the inside, then it goes to the wall and goes out into their yard. It's pretty cool. But they can only run that part of it, in the summertime because they get a lot of snow up there in Salt Lake. Chopper Carson, I love HON30, but difficult to find hardware like wheels, sets, trucks, stuff like that. Well, yeah, Grant Line used to make HON30 trucks. Robert Goslin, I model an N scale, B&M, and ON30 and ON18 Mexican. Also thinking of doing a layout in HON30 or 009. Yeah. That's a lot. See, that's why I like small layouts, because you can experiment, so the next thing I do, I did HO for this. I might do something in N scale later this year or next year. I'm thinking of a micro layout in N scale. 1 by 1 foot. No. The thing about N scale is, I don't think you should build a micro layout in N scale. You should build a 4 by 8 in N scale, and then you can run trains of realistic length and with nice broad curves. It's much more. If you wanted to build like a prototypical layout, I have this fantasy of doing a Santa Fe Route 66 layout in the mid 50s, with the Super Chief and everything going through, following Route 66 to the, roadside attractions and high desert and all that, and have Canyon Diablo on the Canyon Diablo Bridge. Have you been out there?
I haven't been.
Oh, it's pretty cool. If you ever head out that way, in Holbrook, Meteor Crater, out that way, take the little side road that goes out there. We stood there, and I've got some video of it somewhere, and watched as the BNSF went over eastbound. Everything shook, man. It was impressive. Anyway, Did you work at WED and do you know Bob's? I did not work at WED. I have many good friends who did and have, and some still do, but I never worked there. I've always been a freelancer. Jim Barnes, ON30, 18, and standard 2-rail. Timothy Bowles, all of them. You list all of the scales. And HON30, HON3, HO, SN2, SN3, ON18, ON30, ON3. Which one's your favorite, Timothy, out of all of those? Do you have a favorite? For me, it's ON30 because you can get a lot of detail in a relatively small space and, build really nice detailed scenes. It's great for building, it's great for creating a little immersive world. That's what I really like about it. You like all of them? All of them are your favorite. Blaine Milleron, is building a 2x4 in N. Well, not exactly. Oh, he's saying 2x4 feet in N equals 4x8 in HO. Sort of. N scale is not half of HO. And HO, even though HO stands for half O, is not half of O. Just to make it extra confusing for people. N scale is 1/160th, and HO is 1/87th. So if you tried to scale a HO track plan down to 2x4 and build it in N scale, it would be really tight. You could, you'd have 9-inch radius curves, which is about the tightest you can get in N scale. Yeah, it would be really tight. HON3 and SN3 are the same gauge. No, that's not true either. Seeing a lot of misinformation out here. HON3 is 3-foot gauge in HO scale, 1/87th, and SN3 is 3-foot gauge in S scale, which is 1/64th. So it's a different width between the rails. And okay, you meant and HON30 and ON18. Yes, those are all the same gauge, 9 millimeters. HO equals half of 1/43rd line out. I suppose so, but not 1/48. You're right. Somebody asked me earlier if I had any Lionel trains. I never had them as a kid. My older brother had trains, and I wasn't allowed to play with them, which is why I did all this. This is my revenge. Someone gave me, there's an old video of it here on the channel, a Lionel set, a post-war set from 1953, 54, something like that. And he had been sitting in his garage or basement or attic for forever in a box. And you just said, "Here, you want this? Do you like trains?" He comes in because he goes to the doors. You like trains? I'm like, what gave it away? And so then he comes back the next day with a box full of this old Lionel stuff, which I still have. And just a loop of track, like a Christmas train set with the old tubular aluminum rails, the 3 rails. And I put it all together. Some of the rail joiners were missing, but I Mickey Moused it all together and hooked it up, and it ran. It's just, those things were everything was like steel, The locomotive weighs like 8 pounds. But yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Is that the dent in the floor over there?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the dent in the floor?
No, that's where I fell off the ladder and hit my head. Europe uses N gauge for SN2. I've heard that. Let's see.
Somebody mentioned Home on the Range movie.
Yeah.
Doing a little patch of heaven. You did the Waltz Barn.
I did Waltz Barn.
Like that, but
yeah.
On the live steam stuff that I did, the 1A scale stuff, I built a cattle car, and I put a little
sound unit.
Yeah, sound unit with a Mercury switch in it.
Yeah.
And so when the car would rock going down the track, the cows would start moving.
That's great.
Well, you take the top off, and here are 3 cows from Home on the Range sitting in there.
Actually, in there. That's great. Let's see. Donut Crazy, ever thought of making a mine, as in the underground mine shaft portion? Yes. Yes, I have. This is one of those plans that has been on the back burner for the longest time. Where Big Thunder Mine behind Jim's head. Move your head that way. There you go. There you go. Big Thunder Mine up there on the hill. That's not really going anywhere. That's going to stay in the same place. And there's a shaft that goes down, and it actually goes right through Rainbow Caverns. So the idea is to have a mine shaft going down through the caverns, and then it disappears down below the fascia. And so a lift goes down. So it's going to more animation. There'll be an animated lift, and there's actually going to be two, like these mines often had. The two, and one, it'll go down and pause for a minute and come back up, and then the other one will go down and pause for a minute and come back up. And one will be filled with ore, it'll be the ore bucket, and the other one will be the elevator filled with the miners, or a couple of miners, with helmets on and everything. So yes, there's going to be an underground mine scene.
Somebody asked who I was. They got here late, I guess.
That's Jim Manley. Jim Manley's my friend, and he's the illustrious moderator on Thunder Mesa Facebook group, and often here on these YouTube live streams and such.
I just showed up one day and I won't leave.
He just
He hasn't figured out how to get rid of me.
he showed up one day, wouldn't leave, so I put him to work. Let's see. Ben Strait, I've been thinking of building an HON 30 micro of a harbor, have some hoppers similar to the Crown Iron Mountain, and have them dump into a barge. Any ideas for other things that might add operational interest? Car float. Yeah, or a car ferry. You know, so you could have the hoppers come up on an incline on one level. Down here, you could have a car ferry come in your little harbor. I don't know, it's, what'd you say, 2x3, so not very big. But, and then you could take cars on and off the layout with the car ferry. Use it kind of like staging, you know, or switching. Or what is it, loads in, empties out. They would go in, and then you could switch them out and bring back that way. So yeah, that would add a lot of interest. Minx UK, sorry I'm late. Severely aging an office block at the moment and got lost when painting. That's the best kind of late. You know, if you're making something and you're in the zone, no need to apologize.
Are you going to redo the caverns, or are you going to?
Part of them.
Yeah, okay. But they are still going to be part of the
They'll still be part of the layout. Yeah, there's one scene there that's been unfinished forever, you know, with the black cloth in the bottom. That part's going to be redone.
Okay.
But all the rest of the stuff that's there is staying. It's going to stay there. Let's see. Lakota, I'm not going to even try to pronounce your last name again. I'm working on a mobile 09 layout. I drive a truck part of the year and just can't part with my trains for that long. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
You know, John Olson created, that's one of the inspirations behind Thunder Mesa. I'll give you a little backstory. John Olson, great modeler, former Disney Imagineer, did a lot of stuff in model railroader and model railroad craftsman stuff in the 70s and early 80s. He created a little modular, a little portable HON3 layout called the Tascosa and Calico. And it had a big butte in the middle of it, similar to that one right there. And this was just happened to be at about the time that he was also working on Big Thunder Mountain for Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And he created this model so he could take it with him on the plane as he flew back and forth between Glendale and Orlando.
That's cool.
So, and it was featured in an old issue of Model Railroader, which I have here somewhere. I should dig it out. I'd love to look at that again. Great little layout, yeah. He used some old flying zoo mechanisms from Japan and re-gauged them from HON30 to HON3. He did several articles on it. It was really a nicely done layout, little layout. You know, and it was definitely a micro. It was just, you know, a little roundy round. All made out of foam. Guy was way ahead of his time. He did everything out of foam back then, which nobody else was doing. So you could just pick it up and carry it. What happened to John Olson? Last I heard, he is happily retired somewhere in the eastern Sierra country of California. He likes to fish. So he's still around. Yes, exactly. All foam too. Yeah. Well, he was able to get cast off chunks of foam from Wed. So that's he probably didn't even pay for it, because that's the stuff they carve, you know, to do their rockwork models and stuff like that. If you've ever seen the model of Radiator Springs that they did for D23, that's all made out of that gold foam. The same stuff. Same stuff I carved Baxter Spute out of, the urethane foam. Good place to retire to. Yeah, I think he's up around Bishop there, Bob.
HO track on a bicycle wheel for layout.
Roy Reynolds, I built a loop. I was just caught my eye too. Built a loop of HO track on a bicycle wheel for a layout. that's like the pizza box layout, you know. Consider putting all your planning models on display in the studio. I will. I'm going to have them on display for the next open studio, which is February 3rd, I believe. I got to have something to show because the Thunder Mesa layout's not running right now. So yeah, I'm going to have them all out on display, including the newest one that I just finished. And that's, I'm going to have that out. I want to make a little display setup that shows kind of a, like the pardon our dust while we reimagine this attraction for your enjoyment. So it'll have the planning model and the new layout map that people can look at. Let's see. That's a good question, Drew. What has been the most challenging aspect of ON30 for you? Sourcing materials. Sourcing ready-to-run stuff, I should say, has become the most challenging part of it. Excuse me, because it's getting harder and harder to find stuff. Let me think about that. I might have something else. But Bob says maybe make miniature models of your fellow mini layout makers and put. They'll make a little Typhoon Lagoon that's like this big. Yeah, I've got the Christmas layout that I can run. I've got Bandit Canyon. Bandit Canyon is probably, give you a little preview of upcoming content. Bandit Canyon is going to be the main project I'm working on through February as stuff continues to go on with the breakdown of the Thunder Mesa layout. I don't want to just be like the demolition channel, I want to show I'm actually building stuff too. So through February, I'm going to be working on Bandit Canyon and finishing that up, probably February into March. And I just realized it's been 2 years since I started the Bandit Canyon Railway. And when I started it, I said I wasn't in any hurry, but I thought it would be done by now. But I really wasn't in any hurry, and I'm still not. But I do want to have it ready for May, just in case the Festa Fiesta happens. I want to have it ready to go because that's what I'll be taking. Not the Gruesome Gulch. The Gruesome Gulch is moving on down the line soon, hopefully. You got some 40, Bob says, I have some 40 millimeter Ewoks. I'm going to dress up as Jim and hide it on the land. You would hardly have to do anything. Where are you going, Jim? Yeah, that's
So if you've ever seen the Typhoon Lagoon Railroad,
yeah.
The mountain is about this big, and if you put Robert next to it, it would be like that. So I look forward to seeing my Ewok though.
Any new structures or buildings planned for Thunder Mesa 2.0? Yes, I'm so glad you asked. The biggest one is Ravenswood Manor, Phantom Manor from Disneyland Paris. That's the main one that's planned. I'm sure there'll be many others. I've got one of the smaller ones I've been thinking about for a while is a handcar shed, a speeder shed by the side of the track. I want to do a couple more water tanks, little things like that, and then and there are several buildings to finish out the town of Thunder Mesa and the towns of Calico. So yes, but the big one is Ravenswood Manor, Phantom Manor, which is going to have all kinds of spooky effects using a lot of the things I learned doing the Gruesome Gulch layout. Bob says, that's accurate. Brian Strait, speaking of struggling to find ON30 Railroad stuff, the big Eastern train show at Springfield is this weekend. Anything you would recommend looking for? Yeah, see if anyone from Bachman's there, ask them about ON30. Say if there are, what's going on? You got people chomping at the bit to give you money. Please. But, they have a much bigger market in HO and Thomas trains. So, that's where they're going to go where the money is. They're a big company. They're going to go where the money is. The Petticoat Junction Water Tower. My friend Jake built a version of the Petticoat Junction Water Tower. It turned out really nice. He also did the Shady Rest. I think he was working on the Shady Rest Hotel. Let's see. John Clark says a Mexican-style trolley line would be interesting. Yes, it would. Tell that to Gary Beatty. Bachman has really backed away from both ON30 and FN3. That's too bad because they were producing some great stuff in FN3. And if they'd kept going with ON30 in the direction they were going, I was looking forward to them to reproducing some of the stuff they were doing in FN3 and ON30, like, say, the Emma Nevada and, their Eureka and Palisade 440 in ON30 would have been great. All they had to do was shrink the tooling down. It's easy, just shrink the tooling down. Mike Keith says, we are getting closer to getting Southern Pacific 1238 moved from Fresno, Roding Park to the Kingsburg Depot. Cool. Oh, Donut Crazy. Do you think the growth in your channel represents a renewed interest in the hobby? I don't know. There are quite a few model railroad channels out there. Some have been around longer than I have. My channel has grown very slowly, actually, by YouTube standards. There's people that are on here for like 3 years and they have 150,000 or 200,000 followers. Like, how do you do that? Well, they're not talking about obscure niche interests like I am. They're talking about the latest Taylor Swift video. So that's a way to grow much faster. I hope so. My hope, one of the things that keeps me motivated and keeps me doing this and coming back and doing the work, and believe me, there is a lot of work that goes in. You don't always see it, but there's a lot of work. When people say I decided to get into the hobby because of watching your videos, or I came back to it after seeing stuff that you did, or what you did really inspired me to do this or XYZ. That is that's the big payoff for me. I love hearing that. So I can't say if there's more growth in the hobby. I hope so, because where I am on the spectrum, I think my little corner of all this is that I give people permission to do whatever they want. There's an awful lot of people in this hobby, and there were for a long time when I was younger, that said no all the time, or said, no, you're doing it wrong. You need to do it like this. And, you need to focus on this. Don't focus on that. And one day I gave myself permission to do whatever I wanted, and this is what I wanted to do. So the fact that it's proved to be popular with a certain subset of weird, nerdy railroaders is great. And so I like to feel that I'm giving people permission to just do what you want, build a jungle themed layout, embrace the chaos, Bob says, absolutely. And build something with dwarves and dragons if you want to. You're allowed. It's all just creativity. You're allowed to do it.
I think, or at least I hope, we're going to go into a transition phase. We're in a transition phase where it costs a lot of money to build all this tooling to make these cars. We're getting into this digital age where we can design our own cars, we can print our own cars, and as the quality gets better and better, these hard to find scales will go to that.
It's going to become both more specialized and more democratized.
Yes.
People are going to be doing much more stuff themselves, but they're going to have much more sophisticated. I mean, we've always done it ourselves in this hobby. People have been scratch building forever, but the tools have gotten so much better. With laser cutters and 3D printers and all that stuff. So and the cost of those keeps coming down. So you can buy a Omtech laser cutter now, and I wish I'd known about this last year. This one just came out, the new Omtech laser cutter. Omtech is a great brand, well-known brand, good support, for I think like $2,400.
Wow.
Or no, it's less than that. And it's a really nice machine. Looks just like a Glowforge, works just like a Glowforge, except you get to own the software and. Anyway, the price is coming down. I know that sounds like a lot of money to a lot of people, but you have to realize the amount of things that it will allow you to do that you won't have to buy from other people. Same with 3D printing. That's come way down. I just need for it to get faster. I don't have the patience to wait for something to, 48 hours to print. That's a good solution, by the way, for the ON30 track dilemma. There are people out there. Chris Bond, I know, was doing this. I don't know if he's made this available commercially yet, but he was creating laser cut tie strips for ON30. And he was creating them in 2 different styles, which was great. He was creating them to match both Pico track and micro engineering track. So all you needed was the rails, and you can get the rails. Atlas makes the rails. You can get them in code 83, or those are mass produced, and then just slide them or spike them into these laser cut tie strips, and they're going to look better because they're wood. They're going to look better than commercial track. So that might, I'm going to call him because I'm going to need some track. That might be an option I want to do. So it's kind of a hybrid between hand laying and ready to run, which is great. Yeah, Timothy Bull says 3D resin printers are going up in quality and down in price. Very, very true. That's okay, Bob. just like, oh, this message is coming through. That's fine. I'm using my phone for all kinds of things. To record right now, and also as a hotspot for my computer so I can read your comments. It's a very versatile little machine. Star Trek predicted this. We're going to have these little handheld communications devices, but even they didn't know how cool they were going to be or how we'd spend most of our time arguing with strangers and looking at pictures of cats.
They keep me employed, so keep doing it.
Yeah, they keep this guy employed. That's another thing I want to talk about a little bit before we close it out tonight is the videos. I'm going to be going to one of the things that's happening in the studio as I work on this is I'm going to be rearranging some of my workspace and probably adding another table or some sort of rig where I can film directly from above. And I'm going to have a second camera doing that, so we'll be able to cut back and forth between me, John, at you, and doing things, and then you'll be able to actually see what I'm doing. One of the things that frustrates me is looking at the videos and going, oh, could you turn wake that down? Thank you. Tech support, thank you. Is that I was like, I'm doing some complicated little thing, and all you can see is like the back of my hand, and it's like, no, that's not cool. So anyway, let's see. Yeah, they still take forever to print. New Thunder Mesa website coming soon. Yes. It was supposed to be done at the beginning of this year, but it's taking forever because I'm bringing over all the old blog content onto the site, and that has to be done one at a time, copying and pasting onto the new site. So it's taken a while, but yes, it will be out. In the meantime, the old site is fully functional, and they stink. Yeah, 3D resin prints stink. Drew says, I got inspired to create ON30 layout because of your videos and love for Disney. I would myself not be able to fly my RC planes during winter and wanted to keep my artistic mind busy. Now I'm hooked.
Excellent. Awesome.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you. I love hearing that. Let's see. Anything else? So, time's been flying by. Let me put this down. Any other final thoughts on choosing a scale? I almost said gauge. My own pet peeve when people mix up scale and gauge are 2 different things, not the same. I model in N gauge. I hate when people say that. There was an old lady who used to come to the place I worked. Said, "My husband does HO gauge." I think that's nice. Thank you. That's great. He models in HO gauge. Scale, it's scale. Anyway, any final thoughts other than my rant on choosing the scale? One thing I always think about is what is the experience that I want to have as a viewer with this model? Don't engage with Engage. What is the experience that I as a viewer want to have? In other words, what do I want to see when I'm looking at it? How do I want to how do I want to perceive this? And I've talked about this before. The larger the model is, the closer to real it is, I think, as far as size is concerned, and so you feel like you're closer to it. That's why I like about ON30. You can get really close, and you feel like you can feel like you're there. You get down on eye level, and you feel like you're there. Whereas with HO, I just saw one of the arguably best HO scale model railroads in the country out at the San Diego Model Railroad Museum, the La Mesa Model Railroad Club there, their Tehachapi Loop layout. Just fantastic. It's been featured in the Model Railroad press all over the place. Just wonderfully done, well done. But, you feel like you're looking at it from about a mile away. And that's not just because it's behind glass, it's because it's HO. It's like, okay, I'm standing on this hill and the train is way over there in the valley. That's how it feels. And that's a beautifully done layout. N scale, you're in a low flying plane. So yeah, they are rivet counters, but that's okay. That's their choice. I actually talk about this in my next video on realism versus believability. I talk a little about the little basic club, but it's all good. Anyway, yeah. So what experience do you want to have with the model? All other considerations aside, like cost and space and all that kind of stuff that we have to worry about. But, what is the relationship you want to have with it as the viewer, as the operator of this?
I love rivet counter models.
Yeah.
They are amazing.
Yeah.
And they're...
Yeah. Contest quality or museum quality models.
Yes.
That's a whole nother thing. That's a different thing, in my opinion, and I should have probably mentioned this in the next Workbench Wednesday video, but I forgot. I'm sure somebody will bring it up in the comments. There's a difference between models you build for a contest or museum quality models where fidelity to realistic detail is the ultimate goal, as opposed to what I like to call world building. That's a different thing. It's much more theatrical. So you're using much more, more theatrical tricks, and you're going more for believability than actual realism. Excuse me, losing my voice. Brian Scott says, I like O scale and your work in particular because it looks like a model for a theme park. Yeah, kind of is.
Brian, I think it was Brian Straight went by, his comment went by.
Yeah.
And it said, why settle on one when you can basically spend all your money and get them all?
That's true.
And then he said, please send help. So Brian, if you figure out what help, let me know, because I have the same problem.
Yeah. Sean Williams says, I got to say, N scale seems like the new HO scale. Yeah, it's been growing steadily since the 70s, 80s. It's growing. Its market share has been growing steadily, and that's because it's the new HO scale in that I think it's the introductory scale for a lot of people. It was for me. First scale I ever modeled in was N scale because that was the only thing I could afford. I could get a little lifelike locomotive, which I still have somewhere, one of those little 060s for it was like $20, $15-20.
Space availability now too.
Space availability.
Smaller apartments, right. and
a lot of people can't afford houses. They're living in smaller apartments. Space is an issue, so they gravitate towards N scale. Yeah, I think that's true. I think you will actually see it supplant HO scale in popularity at some point in the not too distant future. And the N scale, yes, that's a really good point, Ryan. The N scale mechanisms have come a long way. They are much, much better than they were back in the day. I still have nightmares about the Bachmann 440. This thing's just not running. DLT Berkshire, you don't choose the train, Harry. The train chooses you. I added the Harry in there, but that's what I heard in my mind. It's stated it's your railroad, do what you want. Absolutely. Do what you want. Have fun with it. Model railroading is fun. That used to be the slogan of a certain magazine. It should be fun. And if you're not having fun, that would be the only way. That would be the only time I'd say you're not doing it right. If you're not having fun, if it becomes work for you, then, go outside and garden. right? Crazy says, thanks for all the videos. Proud to be a sponsor. Thank you so much. I am very happy that you are a sponsor. That's a good time for me to throw in a plug here. If you want to help keep Thunder Mesa videos on the air, you can. This is a member-supported station. You can either become a member here on YouTube, right down below, click on the link, membership, or you can go over to my website and click the membership link there, or you can go to patreon.com/ThunderMesa and show your support there if you would like to.
Mine renews on the 1st.
It does. Are you going to renew?
Yes.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you very much. Yes, Jim is at the Rail Baron level. You might notice you'll see his name in the credits at the end of the video. The certain tiers they're producers. That's the way I look at it. They're producers of the video.
And my wife is watching this, so the Rail Baron is the cheapest one that you
It's
can
the
sign
cheapest
for.
one. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching with me. Thanks for watching tonight. Thanks for joining me on this live stream. We'll do it again next month, I think. Let's do it again next month. Keep moving forward, my friends. Adios for now.